Join with computer, start this video. Hey guys, happy Monday. I wanted to put a video together for Mr. Pilli for form review, and I wanted to say excellent work, Mr. Pilli, on sending me your forms. And if you guys haven't sent a form yet, at least watch this and get some insight to your own form training. So I wanted to say excellent job. He sent me a video of him doing black tiger, so sort of cave, and now I can't really share the video because I wanted this to go everywhere so all students can see it, but also the video is a third chamber form that I'm not really supposed to share because it's third chamber privileged information. But anyway, take my word for it, the video was fantastic, and he went above and beyond. He didn't just film it once, he filmed it I think 3 times from different angles so I can see exactly what he was doing. So if you guys haven't considered doing that yet, definitely think about it, film your forms, send it to me so I can make you a personalized feedback video. And if you don't want it shared, not the video you make, I'll keep that private unless you tell me otherwise, but the video I make for you, if you don't want it shared with everyone, let me know and I can just make it privately for you and share it to you privately. But I thought it'd be a good idea to share this in our various groups so that other people can get some good feedback or some tips on doing your forms and improving them and things like that, right? So his form was really good. Mr. Pilli is one of our hardest working black sashes. I don't think there's anyone else that's doing more live classes right now. He's not if he hasn't had the most live classes, he's definitely up there as one of our highest black sashes in terms of how many live classes he's been on. So good work, Mr. Pilli, your hard work is paying off. So the forms were fantastic. Reach was good, speed was good. As I told you before, you can start putting a little more power and a little more speed into your forms, which I don't say very often unless the student has really good positioning in place and really good extension and all that stuff. So same thing applies. You can start putting a little more power and speed on, and that will, when you do that, it tends to, some more, I wouldn't want to say mistakes, but weak spots come out when you start applying a little more power and speed, which is why you don't want to do that right away because then a lot of weak spots come out, right? But once you're comfortable with the forms, you have them memorized, you have the positions, then you can start doing that. Once you pump a little more power and speed into the form gradually, you'll start to get a few more errors come out, and that's a good thing because then you know what you can work on, right? But if you're only ever doing it at a slow and steady pace, you'll get up to a certain level, but you won't be able to perfect beyond that until you push it with a little more power and speed. But again, that's not for everyone. Not until you've spent a lot of time in the forms do you want to do that, okay? The one thing though, the very useful thing I wanted to talk about is the toe kick height and the toe kick snap, okay? And there's a little bit of a story here. When I was young, this is going back probably about 20 years ago. I'm still young, but when I was younger, about 20 years ago, I had this one kind of a mentor ish kind of guy who was an old karate guy, and he was warning me that, you know, if you keep doing this martial arts stuff, it's going to wear you out. You're going to wear out your knees and your hips and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate your feedback and blah, blah, blah. In my mind, I was saying like, no offense to you, but I'm not going to be training that way that you train. So I don't think I'm going to have those consequences that you have. And 20 years later, I'm pretty much of that same mind because the way we train is to keep the body healthy and build it up, not wear it down. And a lot of times in martial arts, when people aren't conscious of what they're doing, the way their body's moving, and they're only focused on hitting stuff really hard and cranking their legs up there, there are a lot of detrimental effects if you're not careful, right? So what this guy was doing was, he was doing karate back in the old days, and everything was really tough, and do your knuckle push-ups on the concrete floor and all that stuff, is they were always snapping their kicks out, locking their kicks out without regard of proper body alignment, all right? And then what happens is when you do that over a long period of time, your joints do get worn out. But that's not the martial art that's doing that. That's improper training that's doing that. And if you train properly with right positions and you're aware of what the joints are doing, you can be doing this stuff till you're 80, 90, 100, maybe 110 or 120 years old if you're doing it properly. But if you don't, little inconsistencies and little errors are going to take their toll. They're going to wear out the joints, they're going to wear out your knees, your back, and all that stuff if you're not doing properly. And the kicks is something where that happens a lot because people, they throw their kicks out, they lock the legs out, right? And they put undue pressure on the knees. You guys might have heard me say before that when you're standing for a long period of time, you don't want to be having your knees locked back like that, right? When your knees are locked, it's putting undue pressure on the joint. You want your knees slightly bent. So your muscles are engaged, and there's more shock that can be absorbed through the body and the muscles. But when your legs are locked like that, right, any kind of impact is going into the joints, and that's going to be wearing them down. When you have your knees slightly bent, just a little bit, just unlocked, right, all that movement, that impact is getting absorbed into the muscle, and it's going to be strengthening the body and not wearing it down. Well, it's the same thing with kicks. Okay, when you throw your kick out, when you're locking your leg like that, right, when you're locking your leg, every time you kick, it's lock and then unlock, and that locking and unlocking is causing, can cause a lot of undue pressure on that joint, and it might have detrimental effects, you know, later on, not today, not tomorrow, but someday, and you know, then for the rest of your life, you're going to have bad knees because you're locking the kick out, as what happened to my one-time friend and mentor I was talking about, right, bad knees and bad hips, because these things weren't taken into account, okay? Anyway, what the thing I was going to suggest was that when you throw your kick up, you chamber the knee a little bit higher and throw the kick out, not just throw the kick low, but not just because you want to show a higher kick, but there's that underlying health benefit there that I wanted to address, okay, that can't be overemphasized. So that's why I want to spend a little time explaining that, okay? Now think about this, all right? If you just sit, and you straighten your leg out like that, you lock your leg. See, my knee is locked right now. It almost looks like it's bending backwards. It's locked, okay? Now, as I bring my knee up higher, I can only keep it locked for so long. If I want to keep raising my leg, eventually I'm going to bend that knee a little, and now it's unlocked, all right? I can't do that. I can't lock the leg when it's way up here, and my leg won't allow, muscles won't allow it, right? The flexibility won't allow it. Down here, I can lock the leg, no problem. Okay, so if you're worried about whether you're locking your leg during a kick or not, it's very simple. All you have to do is get that knee high enough where you're not actually letting yourself lock that leg, okay? So when I say raise your kicks, it's not only for the self-defense, because when you're throwing a kick, you want to be not kicking a target, but kicking through a target. So if you're kicking, if this toe kick is going to the groin, you don't want to be just kicking the groin, you want to kick through all the way up to the chin. That's why we kick to the chin, not because we're actually going to hit someone in the chin, but we want to make sure we're hitting through the target when we throw that kick, all right? So that makes sense there from a self-defense point of view. But for a health point of view, think about this. If you only chamber your knee here this high to where the kick is going, lock the leg. You see, the knee locks all the time. And now if I throw 10,000 of those, it's going to have a very bad effect on that knee. However, if I chamber the knee high, like that, up to the chin, even if I can't kick to the chin, it doesn't matter. Because what that high chamber knee is going to do is it's going to keep you from, see, I can't lock out the leg even when I try to, okay? So you want to get that knee up nice and high, and it's going to have a good snap and recoil on the kick, and you're also not going to have to worry about whether you're locking your kick out or not, because you can't. When the knee is up that high, it's not going to allow you to lock out that kick, all right? Because your flexibility, well, so the lack of flexibility, in this case is a good thing, right, will keep you from snapping that leg out all the way. Okay, so chamber that kick a little bit higher and keep stretching those kicks up higher and higher. It'll help from a self-defense point of view because it'll give you more follow through on the technique, but it's also going to keep the knees from locking out, and it's going to keep them healthy. Okay, so keep that whole thing in mind. Very important for those, and for more reasons as well, for the snap on the recoil. But chamber that knee nice and high on the kick. So, and notice, do it slow. Notice how you won't be able to lock your knee out on that. It'll protect your knee. It'll also give you more power. Okay, I hope that helps, Mr. Pilli. There's other stuff that we can work on as we go. Your forms are looking great. Keep it up. Put that one piece in for now, and then we'll revisit again in a couple weeks and see what else we can work on. Okay, thank you very much for sharing, guys, and thanks for watching this. I hope this is useful for you. And feel free to video and send in your forms if you guys want some more direct personal feedback on it. Okay, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon.